and you both are familiar with them. And I know that Poulin is trying to get people over from the other session, the one that wasn't working. So he'll go ahead and get everybody and bring them on. But today's session is not meant to be a master class. So this is intended just to guide you through, to share some features that you may not be familiar with, so that you can review what's relevant to you and helping with your particular workflow. Don't feel like you have to memorize everything that we're going to show you today. So I'm going to have to stop sharing and switch screens. I had this beautiful production flow worked out, you guys. You are going to be so impressed with me today. But then everything, right? Pandemic. Can we all blame this on Corona too? Is that okay? It looks like some people actually did get this link from the other surveys. I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. If you didn't get this from our first session, this is just kind of a fun survey that we created that I would love to have you complete. I'm posting it in chat while I'm multitasking here. Maybe. There it goes. So just a real quick fun survey. If you want to go ahead and complete that and be filling out answers to some of those questions, that's just to help us know kind of what your team's level is and your comfort with everything. So right now I'm looking at the results, and it looks like most people say that they're familiar with features in Teams, but they still need a little help. And it looks like more people are familiar with Teams chat. We have some really strong emoji games out there. You guys, I love that you're stepping up on your game. That's amazing. Your motivation for attending is wanting to learn how to streamline your own work process. Nobody voted that they were here for the music. That has to be because you couldn't hear it in the previous session, because I cannot believe nobody would select that on their own. Poulin said that we should just put Amanda Made Me as the choice, because I know some of you are here just because of that. We did ask if you've attended before, how helpful has this been to you? Were you able to get information from us that was valuable to your work? So I'm going to go ahead and share so you can see what your friends are responding to. So you can see a little bit as to it looks like, oh, it's changing all the time. Isn't that exciting? So about 14% know the basics, and that some are familiar with it. We've got about 18 that are fairly familiar with it. Okay, good. We had a couple people here for the music. Dennis, I hope that you responded to that, because I know you've always liked my choices. So I kind of figured that question was just there for you. Okay, so that's great. That helps us. As Brian and Poulin are looking at that, they're going to get a feeling as to how familiar you are and how comfortable and confident you are using Teams. And they're going to be able to adjust their presentation to make sure and cater to your comfort level. Okay, so while I've got this up, I'm working on it. Sorry. Okay. So as I've got this up, next. No. Yes. We are recording this session. I saw somebody press record. Thank heavens, because I didn't think to when we transferred over. So Brian, my hero, yet again, has saved me. If you do want to see any of our past recordings in just a few minutes, I'll go ahead and post the link to our YouTube channel in the chat. But you can subscribe, and that way you can be the first. If I get a little distracted, if something else is going on, I don't always send out the follow-up email immediately after. It takes a little while for the video to upload and to process. And so it sometimes takes me just a little bit of time. But if you want to, Amy, bless your heart, thank you for being my hero. If you want to go ahead and subscribe to that channel, you'll be the first to know. We're trying really hard to reach 100 subscribers, because if we do, we get just kind of a different level in YouTube, and we'll be able to reach more people on campus, which ultimately that's our goal. We want to be able to connect with you and to keep you informed and to let you know everything that's happening. So, okay, let me see, what's my next slide here? Okay. Moving on to the next section. So I wanted to take just a minute before we begin and tell you a little bit about how today's session is structured. Today was intended to be all about your voice and your input and the impact that Teams is having on your role. We have had these sessions every Friday throughout the entire summer, and it's been an incredible experience for me. And I truly hope that it's added some sort of value to your work and to your career at UT Dallas. So rather than us decide the topics and the content and try to guess at what you best need, today we are hosting Teams Trivia, which are all of these random questions that we get that somebody doesn't understand how to do one certain concept. So today you all submitted your questions in advance. You told us what you're struggling with or what you need to know, and we've responded, and we've got Poulin maybe and Brian definitely on to help answer those questions for you. So today is going to be structured kind of in groups, and I know it's all a little bit different because our Teams Live wasn't working, but we've got this segmented into 4 different groups. We've got Teams meetings, and we're going to go over certain key factors within a Teams meeting. We have Teams chat, so we're going to go over into little factors within Teams chat, and then Teams channels. Brian's going to go over all of the little hidden features of that. I think that's probably the best known secret in Teams are the channels. People don't really know what those are. It does not require remote control. And then finally, Teams voice, we're going to talk a little bit about what these new phones are, what do these new headsets mean, and how is it going to really impact your role. So we're going to go over those top 4 items, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my slides now. Okay, I did it. And we've gone through the poll. So Brian, you should have a little bit of a feel as to the audience and what people are wanting to hear from. So I'm going to go ahead and let our team hero step in. Thank you for saving the day and saving this meeting and allowing all of these great people to be able to hear from everything that you know. So I'll go ahead and let Brian take over now.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. And it's going to take me just a second to
Not
get
a problem.
shared up here. Man, what a way to end the week, right, guys? Like, man, I don't know what kind of week everybody's had on the phone, but this is how I guess I would have expected the week to end, because it goes the same way that it's going to go all week, right? But we're excited to be here nonetheless to share some Teams tips and really to kind of dive into some of the features that maybe we haven't covered in some of our earlier sessions, and maybe even some of the new features that are coming to Teams soon. So we'll give you a little bit of an idea of what maybe to expect if you're using Teams in your department, or maybe you're teaching with Teams. There's a lot of stuff that's coming between hopefully now and the end of this year. So I'm really going to start and talk about Teams meetings to start. And I've gone ahead and I've scheduled a Teams meeting. We've talked about how to do that in the past. And there's several different ways to do that. But I want to start with some of just the options once you're in a Teams meeting. And so you may have noticed a few weeks ago, maybe about a month now, Teams meetings started opening in a new window in what we call the Teams new meeting experience. I want to just address that because I think it spurred a lot of questions, at least to our help desk, about what is this new meeting experience? Like, why does it look different? The new Teams meetings experience is really where Microsoft is putting all of their effort going forward as far as new features that they'll be adding to the platform. So you may have noticed some of those. I'll call a few out here in just a minute, but eventually that will become the default feature of Teams meetings, or default experience, I should say, for Teams meetings. However, in the meantime, if you prefer the old meeting experience, you can always go here into settings. You scroll on down to the bottom of your settings in the general area, and you're able to toggle this. Just make sure that you will need know that you will need to restart Teams for that to take effect, and that eventually, when all the features of Teams meetings are available in the new experience, the old experience will eventually be going away. But once you're here in that Teams meeting, there's a couple features that folks ask us about regularly, and Amanda gathered some of those for me to talk about today. The first is attendance reporting. And so you'll see I've got my Teams meeting window open in my new experience here. And in the next to my participants panel, which I can open by clicking on this little icon right here, right? I've got these 3 dots next to participants. When I click that, I'm able, as the meeting organizer, to download my attendance list. And so that's going to download a list of names. I believe the time that they joined the meeting and potentially the time that they left the meeting. Now, currently inside of Teams, if you do this, you are going to see that the attendance list is only available when you are in that meeting. So when you leave the meeting, you'll notice that it's not available for you to download. Coming later this year, Microsoft Teams will be allowing that to be downloaded after the fact. So if you forget and you leave the meeting, you can go back to that meeting chat history and be able to download that attendance list right there. Now, something to also keep in mind if you are maybe teaching with Teams this semester and you're dealing with a lot of students that are new to the Teams environment, if you've allowed them to join as a guest, you'll notice that they won't show up in your attendance list. So it is important that you encourage students. We're encouraging students in OIT to always download the Teams, the full Teams app, so they get the full experience, and that they're logged into their UT Dallas account when they're joining those meetings. And that's going to flow right into the next thing, which I'm going to show is our meeting options. And so you'll see here in the participants list, I can choose to manage permissions. There are other ways to get to the meeting options as well, including right after you schedule a meeting. But something that you might not know is that the changes that you make to the meeting options affect the meeting immediately. So let's say you are teaching with Teams and you are, maybe there are times where you want your students to be able to present their screen. So you want to give them full presenter permission. But there are other times, or maybe the majority of the meeting, where you just want that to be you. You can actually go into your meeting options in the middle of the meeting, just like I just did right there. And once this meeting options page loads, I can actually go ahead and restrict down or allow more people to be in my presenter list. And of course, we'll see just how today's going. Let's see if this is going to load. I can actually do that and it'll take effect in real time. So this is a great tool to use if you're teaching with Teams. Like I said, there are some times where maybe students are giving presentations. You want them to be able to share their screen. You can make that adjustment right here. You can say, who can present? Only me. I hit save here. And it'll immediately update in your Teams meeting. Those people who are not you will be attendees at that point and will be unable to share their screen. So that's a great tip with your meeting options, but also available in your meeting options is your meeting lobby. And so this was a feature that was heavily requested, and we'll see if this is going to open again for me. I will try to zoom in a little bit here. So in your meeting options now, you may have seen the who can bypass the lobby, but something that is new, it's only been around for probably 3 or 4 weeks now, is there's a fourth option that was added here, and that's only me. When you do that, essentially every person that comes into the meeting is going to sit in the meeting lobby until you admit them one by one. This has been huge for our e-learning folks to recommend to faculty if they're doing office hours where potentially they're meeting with students and discussing matters that are a little bit sensitive or about grades and that sort of thing. They're able to restrict in and control who's allowed to bypass the lobby. Now, something that you want to make sure of when you do this, keep in mind that that means all of your callers, so anyone who has the meeting dial-in phone number will be subject to that as well. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about some more of the settings here inside of the actual Teams meeting. Hopefully, we're all familiar with Together Mode and the Large Gallery. So those are new features that came out just this fall as well. The Large Gallery allows up to 49 people to be shown on the screen at one time. And Together Mode is a really great new virtual tool that allows you to appear all in one classroom. Both of those features, as you can see here, are in preview. So Microsoft is still improving the overall quality and the experience that folks have there. But you'll see that those are available inside of that new Teams meeting experience as well.
Hey,
and
Brian.
then, yeah.
I love to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do you think we should have a few people turn on their cameras just so they could see what it's like? Because I don't know if everybody has actually experienced Together Mode.
Absolutely. Yeah. Here, I'm actually going to stop sharing for a second, and then let's see if we can get some folks to do that.
So y'all don't make us be the only two on camera. Come on. We know you're there. Somebody. Dennis, where are you? I can pick on you. Jennifer? Anybody?
Can you see
Jennifer? Enrique's here.
Awesome.
Yay.
Julie's
friends.
on. Does it
Thank
pop up
you.
when you're talking?
You have to
So-
turn your camera on.
So if
My
you,
camera's on and I can see my camera in the lower right corner, but
There you
There
go,
it is.
Devin.
Now you're on, David.
I don't see it up on. Oh, I'm up because, yeah, mine's always that little guy down in the corner.
Yeah.
Can y'all see
So-
mine?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
say who.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
I know
so
you have
now,
to talk for it to catch you. Sorry.
oh, does it? It does. Yeah, just come on out, guys. It's been a day. We all like to see some smiling faces behind. So if you haven't already gone up to the top, those three little dots and click on together mode, it's pretty funny to look at. I'm gonna get a picture. This is great. Normally we don't get to see all of your faces. Okay, hold on.
Can we all do a whoosh? Or
Yes,
let's
we
do. Let's
can.
do-
Oh,
But which
wow.
way does
Yeah.
it go?
I think it's-
There you go.
Wait, which way? Okay,
This
I have
side.
to hold the camera. Y'all are so cute. Okay, I
Do
got it. I got
realize
it.
we're all violating social distancing rules too.
I mean, a little bit. Yeah, I got some friends here. There's Amanda. Very cool.
Okay, that's just a feature you have to see. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but we all could use a little fun right now. So
Absolutely.
that made my day. Thank you all for doing that. Appreciate it.
And while Brian's getting started back again, I'll make a note. So for the larger view, the 7x7, I think you have to have at least 10 people, right, Brian?
I think
Is
5.
that 5? Okay. And then for the together mode, like we were just doing, I think that's at least 4 people or more. That's kind of required.
Awesome. So a couple just other small things I'll talk about inside of Teams meetings. If you haven't turned on live captions in this meeting, or maybe if you haven't used live captions in the later half of this week, we recently got an enhancement to our live captioning tool inside of Teams, where it's actually going to attribute the caption to the person who's speaking. So if you click that and start your live captions, and you're going to do that by clicking these 3 dots and then choosing to turn on your live captions. If you do that, you're going to notice that now it not only shows you who's or what is being said, but who is speaking. And so that's a great new accessibility feature that was recently added to our Teams meeting experience. Some other new features that are coming that I can't quite show you yet, but that we're expecting sometime before the end of this calendar year. Breakout rooms inside of Teams are on their way. They're actually in testing at Microsoft right now. Sharing audio, which I can show you because I'm on a Windows computer. If you're one of our folks that are using a Mac, you may have been frustrated by the fact that you can't share your system audio, so you can't share videos in Teams. That is currently planned to be released before the end of the year. So if you don't quite see this toggle on your Mac yet, you'll see that before the end of the year, and you'll be able to share videos and that sort of thing as well. And so I am going to pause there, I think, and I think I'm turning things either over to Amanda or over to Poulin.
Brian, I think you missed a couple of new features.
Well, enlighten us, Poulin.
Dun, dun, dun.
So one of the things that I think we've heard so many people talk about are breakout feature rooms. I think Brian didn't say that one on purpose because we actually haven't had the ability to test it yet or create training documentations on it. But I have seen it. It works fairly intuitively, and it's not horrible. Like it's not exactly the way Zoom does it or other tools do it. You can create as many breakout rooms as you want within the meeting. You can kick everybody out of those breakout rooms and have them come back to the live meeting. But please bear with. The reason why I really wanted to bring it up is that we don't, just because of the beginning of semester stuff that's going on, we don't have time to create training content just right away. So if you see it and you play with it, that's awesome. Please do, and then come teach us. But it's just going to take a couple of days for us to figure to create all the training content for it and be able to present that later. But I know people have been asking for it for so long now, but it is coming. And then there will also be a new feature that's going to be, so Brian talked about closed captioning, but there's a live transcription that's going to also come later on, where it's just going to look like our chat, but it's going to say Poulin said this, Brian said this, and then it's just going to show you a transcription of the meeting. So if you ever took notes, you kind of don't have to, you can just copy and paste that into notes and you'll be done. But that'll be coming soon as well. All right, so I think, do we have any questions in the chat? Can you enlarge screen? It's, oh,
No.
That's I think for Brian.
See,
I don't.
The most recent one is from Stephanie, is just asking where is this new breakout function so that she could play with it, or where will it be once it does
So-
release?
Yeah, so once you start your meeting, it will be actually within the meeting itself. So that's where it will be. It's not there yet, but it will be there as soon as it's available. And you know, with all these things, Microsoft doesn't check with us before they start them. or before they enable them on our tenant. They just do it. So I can't tell you exactly when it's going to happen. Like, I could hear that it's going to happen by Friday, but then, it shows up on Thursday, and that's just the way it is. This, unfortunately, we have no control over. So we do get a little bit of a heads up before they come, but we don't know exactly when they're going to be released. Just as soon as they fix the bugs, they put them into production. So that's kind of how it works.
So Pullen, I think given the time, if you want to talk a little bit about Teams chat.
Yep.
I know there were several questions about chat and muting and marking it as unread, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so Brian's over here doing this great presentation, and then I'm just really annoying him. Hi. And he's getting all these bings, right? So Brian, can you just show us how to, whoa, look, there you go. It's so annoying, right? In the middle of his live presentation here. He's doing such a fantastic job sharing his screen, and I'm just being so rude to him. So he can mute me. And the way he's gonna do that is by clicking the 3 dots there, and then just hitting that mute button right there. And that's exactly what it is. One of the questions I saw earlier, if you hide somebody's chat, so Brian, go ahead and hide me. And then if I go and add, message Brian, say, hi. And then what's gonna happen is that it's gonna, oh, where'd it go? There we go. Okay, so it just took a bit. But if you notice that even though he hid me and I was off of his chats list, I came back. But it didn't show him the obnoxious bing because I'm still muted. So that's good. So mute me and hide me, and then you'll be good said. So I know I saw that question come up. So that's a good one. Bookmarking messages is something that I use all the time. It's, there's times when, like, for example, I have a dummy account and Brian sent me the username for it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm not going to write it down, and I'm not going to remember where I wrote it down, so I'll just go ahead and bookmark that. So my first hi was really important to Brian. He really wants to save that forever, so he's going to go ahead and click the 3 dots. He's going to hover his mouse over that hi, click the 3 dots, and then save this message. So that's, you see the little bookmark icon, and you see that little thing that says saved. Now, to get to it, he's going to click on his picture. That's actually my picture that he's going to click on, but that's exactly what you'll do. And then you'll click on the saved button. And when you do that, you're going to see all the saved chats that you have. And if you notice, it did pull up the whole chat, but it highlighted which hi. So Brian, if you go back to the, but go back out of it and just click on chats, and let's go back into it one more time. I want you guys to notice that it kind of highlights it. So if Brian goes back and click saved, and then as soon as he does that, did you notice that first hi? It highlighted that, so that's important to know. Keyboard, rich text formatting. So while we're here, we type messages all the time, but sometimes we want to bold things, italicize things, and do all sorts of fun stuff. So Brian, if you type a new message right there, you can't do any of those things. You don't see those options, changing the color and all that. So what Brian's going to do is click the A with the little paintbrush below. And as soon as he does that, it brings up this nice rich text format, things that we're all used to. And now he's going to, could you please leave me alone? Perfect. And then he's going to even highlight that alone to yellow because, he really wants to emphasize that for me. And then he can hit the send button. But you can change the paragraph. You can, so you can make things bigger, smaller, add some headers, different things like that. Another question we got was about keyboard short. Actually, sorry, I'm gonna go in reverse order here. So while we're here in the chat, to make something really important, if Brian really wanted me to know something that's important, he's gonna type that message and then hit the exclamation mark that's right below there, and that's gonna let me know that this is important. So he can mark it urgent. And actually, Brian, go back to that. And then what the urgent one will do is it's gonna keep notifying me every 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So it's gonna keep popping up. So it's don't use that wisely, otherwise people will hide you and block you and do all sorts of muting you. So don't do that. Okay, keyboard shortcuts are unique to what platform you're on. So if you're on a Windows computer versus Mac computer versus a web browser on Chrome or Edge or anything like that. But how you find out your keyboard shortcuts are exactly the same. So Brian's gonna go navigate all the way up to my picture again. Oh, or he's gonna do that. All right. We're gonna give him a second to get reoriented. There you go. And he's going to click on his keyboard shortcuts. So as soon as you do that, you're going to see all the shortcuts, and you can print this page out, copy it, paste it, make it your desktop wallpaper, whatever you want to do. But it has every shortcut you need, and every one that you don't need. So kind of use that to your advantage the way you want to. Like open Teams automatically is Control-3. So if you're in any other part of the Teams app, you can hit Control-3, and it's going to go straight into that. Once you get your telephony on, you can do Control-5, and it's going to open your calls menu. So all that cool stuff is going to happen. And then my favorite thing to do is before I joined this meeting, I went to Do Not Disturb. And you should too. So when you go on Do Not Disturb, it does. I mean, I've heard this from a lot of faculty as well, that hey, I'm in the middle of teaching a class, I have my Teams meeting going on, and now that my phone is in Teams, it starts ringing, and that's no good, right? So if you go to Do Not Disturb, it will automatically remove all those distractions, no pop-ups, no nothing from anywhere. Big key thing there to remember is to make sure you go off of Do Not Disturb. Now, for me, there's some people in this university that I absolutely, even if I'm in this type of a meeting and doing something important, I do want to get distracted from them. So if you want to do that with Do Not Disturb, then you'd go again to your picture. You're going to go to settings. And over here, you're going to manage your priority access list. And you can add people to that. So Brian's always going to add me no matter, he's going to add himself, I see. So no matter what Brian's doing, he wants to be disturbed from me because he's just nice like that. So now even if Brian goes on Do Not Disturb on this, you can keep it on, Brian. We'll just show kind of what it looks like. But you'll still get that message. I don't know if you kept it on. Okay, so even though he's on Do Not Disturb, I sent him another hi. I just really like saying hi, and you see that notification popped up for him. But if Amanda were to do it, it wouldn't show up. It will still show up in his activity feed, so he'll know to look for it later. And that's important to note, that you're not going to miss all these chats and phone calls and things like that just because you went to Do Not Disturb. All right, and now, are there any questions, Amanda?
There are just a couple of questions. Dennis was asking on the shortcuts that you showed. Mm-hmm. Are there ways that you can change to kind of have your preferential shortcuts on those shortcut keys?
I don't think so. These are preset by Microsoft at this time. But that's a good feature request. I think we can definitely add that to our list of things for them to fix.
Okay. And then Elizabeth was asking or making the statement that when she's in Do Not Disturb, she still gets those pop-up chats, even though she's in Do Not Disturb. So is that something with her notifications that she needs to change or disable?
I don't think so. It shouldn't pop up. We might have to look at yours together, Elizabeth, just so. And if after this meeting you want to ping me, I'm happy to work on that with you.
Okay, and that's all the questions I have in chat. If y'all could just keep posting them, and if I absolutely know the answer right away, I'll answer it for you. And if not, we can defer to our heroes. But I know we're keeping you past the time that we originally stated. We're trying to move through quickly, so I understand if people have to go since this was supposed to end, but I hope that you'll stay.
All right, now Brian's going to talk a little bit about Teams channels and all the fun things. Before Brian gets started, I do want to make this one point about the way we've set up so if you're a faculty and you're on this call, you're not the owner of the teams that were created for your class. We know that, and that was done by design so that we could give you certain feature sets, especially if you have a really large classroom. So let me explain that for just a second. If you're a faculty and you saw the automatic teams pop up, the reason why you're not an owner is not because we really didn't want to make you an owner, but we got certain set of requirements, and that's kind of what we built. And here's what we did. We wanted to automate the process of creating those classes based on the class and the people that were a part of that class, right? So your students. And the way we could programmatically do that is we're pulling that information directly from PeopleSoft and auto-populating that team. Now, if a student drops your class or another one adds your class and does those types of things, we don't want you to have to sit there and add them and drop them and remove them or forget and cause other issues. And so this is all happening programmatically in the back end. And it's because of that we can make you the team owner of those. We're not going to talk too much about that in this meeting, but we are going to set up additional meetings to discuss that in more depth. But I did want to make that disclaimer. So Brian's not really going to touch on just all those specific things, but we'll definitely have some opportunities to talk about that later. All right, Brian, go for it.
Awesome, great. So I am going to talk a little bit about Teams channels. And if you've attended a training with me before, I always start in Teams, and it looks like this when you first get in there. And my recommendation is go on over to this little cog, go to your switch view, and change to the list view. I love the list view. I'm a much bigger fan of that than the grid. The grid, if I used the grid, I would miss messages all the time in my channels. So I highly recommend give the list view a try if you haven't already. You can see that I've got 2 teams that I already have set up here. We will go ahead and make sure we post. The biggest question we get around teams and channels is how do I request one? And so the requests all come through the help desk. We get those created. I know we've had a huge number of those this week, and we've been working through those as quickly as we can. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the different ways that I use teams and channels in my day-to-day work. The first thing I'm going to talk about is pinning channels. So if you're somebody who is a member of multiple teams like I am, maybe you've got a team for your actual working team, and you've got a team for your class, and you've got a team for a project that you're working on, you actually can pin the channels that are most important to you to the top of the list. So you can see here I've got lots of different channels, and I've been testing this week automating our Teams service interruptions. So when Microsoft sends us information about a Teams outage, I've been having those flow right into my channel here. I'm going to just go ahead and pin that up at the top. And you'll notice that not only does it show the name of the channel now at the top of here, but it also shows the team that came from, which in this case is my sandbox. Now I'm also working on a secret project with one of my colleagues, Jake. If you were in our Teams tips a couple weeks ago, you saw us create that. So I'm going to pin that up there as well. And you'll notice again, it's going to show me what team each one of those channels is for. And just for good measure, I'm going to pin one more up there as well. Now, these pinned teams are great. They'll show up in all of your Teams clients. So you only have to do this one time. They also allow you to, they're also visible on your mobile app. So, I mean, if you've ever tried to use Teams on mobile and you're a member of multiple teams, it's almost impossible to navigate. But once you pin those channels that you're really working in frequently, it's really easy to move between what you're looking for. And on the mobile app, it'll even show those above your chat as well. So it's even easier to use. Now, sometimes, though, the opposite is true, where maybe you're in a team that has lots and lots of channels that have been created, and not all of those channels apply to you. There's 2 big things that you can do to help kind of mitigate that. The first one is you can hide a channel. So let's say I also tested an integration that posts for the UTD subreddit into one of my team channels. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go up here, and you can see I can just choose hide. Now that's going to go away, and it's going to hide away under the 4 hidden channels here. So I won't see that in my view anymore. And that also will apply on my mobile device as well. Now, the hidden channels that you see here by default are set by the team owner. So the team owner can set the default whether a channel is hidden or shown, but each individual person can still choose to hide that channel if they don't think it's relevant to them. The other thing you can do there is change your channel notifications. And so this is a big reason, I've heard a lot of folks who try using Teams channels, and they get frustrated because it's not like chat where it notifies you every time somebody sends you a message. Well, don't let that turn you off of Teams channels. That just means that you haven't overrode the default setting, which is only to notify you if somebody mentions you. I can tell you that in our help desk team, we have a channel that's just support issues. So, hey, I've got somebody on the phone, they're having a problem. I need to know about those when they're getting posted, not whenever is convenient for me. So I go in here, I can click on these 3 dots again, and I can go to my channel notifications. And you can see that I've got this set to custom, but there's 2 options by default. I can either choose all activity or I can turn notifications off completely. But if I go into custom here, you can see that I can say, yeah, I want a banner post every time somebody posts a new conversation. And I can even choose that if I want literally everything that's happening in this channel, I can click include all replies. Then I can go ahead and hit save. And now I'm going to be notified every time somebody posts in that channel. Now, unfortunately, at this point in time, there's no way for the team owner to set that as a default. You as an individual have to do that. But it is a great tool to use if your team is looking for that threaded conversations that you don't get in a group chat, but you need the notifications. Just go in and tweak those settings and you'll be good to go on using channels. The next thing I'm going to talk about is links to channels. So there may be times where you've got somebody who's maybe new to Teams and you're communicating with them and they can't seem to figure out how to get over to the Teams area. You actually can click the three dots again next to that channel, and you can get the link directly to that channel. And so you'll see that it gives you a big old long Teams link here. You can either send that in like an email. If they click it, it'll open the Teams app right there. Or if you send that in Teams and somebody clicks that. So if I go here, say I post it here in my training team. If somebody clicks that inside of the Teams app, it doesn't even leave the app. It doesn't have to open your browser, nothing like that. You just click it and it takes you right to that spot. You even can do that with a post. So if I go back in our secret project here and I want to get the link directly to the post, I can hover over here and go copy link, and I can send somebody a link to a conversation that has already happened. The last thing I'll talk about is meetings inside of channels, because we've had a lot of questions about this as well. When you have a meeting inside of a channel, we have a great knowledge article on the Help Desk website about this and the differences between a meeting that happens inside of a Teams channel and just a standalone Teams meeting. But some of the big differences that you'll see is that, one, if somebody tries to join that meeting and they're not part of the channel, it is going to let them join. It's going to let them speak. It's going to let them turn their video on, but it's not going to let them see the chat. And that's been a big issue with these course teams and folks that are in, in merge sections. And, e-learning has a great workaround to do if you have a merge section. But if you don't do that and you have somebody who's not in that channel and they try to join, they won't see the chat. The reason why is that those messages are actually kept inside of that channel. So of course, Teams won't let someone who isn't in that channel be able to see that chat. So just that, there's a couple other differences, but you can schedule those directly in the channel. And if everybody who's attending is a member of that channel, it makes it much easier. You don't have to remember to invite every single person. They don't have to get another chat notification in their chat area. It's all kept right there inside of your team channel. And so I'm going to pause and see if we have any questions. And if not, I'll turn things over to Poolin. I know we're running over.
I don't show any questions right at this time. Poolin, given the timing, do you want to continue, or are we at a spot where we could wrap up?
I'll just ask a question. So we just recently did the Teams voice session. So you're more than welcome to, again, go watch it on our YouTube channel. Are there any specific questions related to telephony, phones, Avaya, to Teams transition, anything that I can answer for you?
The only one that I had emailed to us previously was asking if you could just go to the calls and show the phone pad for dialing outside numbers.
Yeah, so just as Brian did there, so you're going to go into your calls button on the left side, and there we go. And then you're going to click dial in, put dial in the number right there. Yep. And then that's where you can put in your phone number. And as soon as you do that, you can hit the call button right below it. That's currently grayed up. And that's how you make an outbound call. No dialing 9, no dialing 1, no dialing anything else. Just like that. Thanks, Brian, for not putting my cell phone number up there.
Just give us time, Poolin. Give us time.
And then right next to it is speed dial. So, you can see the speed dial is right next to it. So we can have all these people added to it.
Why am I not there?
People. This is my dummy account. So it's, I think I usually delete everybody after it. So that's why I'm on my personal speed dial. You're number one right there. First person I call.
Well, thank you. Well, given the time and y'all's incredible patience, we're going to go ahead and be wrapping up because I know people have other places to go. I just posted in the group chat. If you would please take a moment and complete the survey. We are trying to determine how we want to continue with teens tips. So we need your feedback, and depending on what your feedback is, we will determine how we want to move on in the future. Typically, when we send out a survey, we only get a couple of responses. And so if you could provide us with your true feedback and answer the questions like, what did you find most impactful? Give us an answer of other than nothing. It really does help us to plan and to help us have a strategy. After August, we need to determine how we're going to be addressing these and the conflicts with classes and school and all of those sort of things. So I went ahead and posted that up. It's a couple of questions up. If you would please go, I'm looking right now to see if there's anybody responding, because I heard a rumor that if we get 50% of responses, that somebody next week might come on with a different color of hair. I don't know who, but I know this has been, Brian, I think it might be Brian. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure.
I didn't hear that rumor.
I did though. Isn't that funny? That's how rumors get started. So I'm going to give you a minute, if you would, while you're still on this call, to please just go ahead and complete that survey, and just know that we are thankful for you. I've got a little closing music for my team here, just to thank them for the incredible efforts and for making this week just full of sunshine and lollipops.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together. Brighter than a lucky penny when you're near. The rain goes, disappears, dear, and I feel so fine just to know that you are mine. My life is sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. That's how this rain goes. So come on, join in. Everybody, sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is sure to come your way when you're in love to stay. Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together. Brighter than a lucky penny when you're near. The rain goes, disappears there, and I feel so fine just to know that you are mine. My life is sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. That's how this rain goes. So come on, join in. Everybody, sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is sure to come your way. 'Cause you're in love, you're in love, and love is here to stay.
All right, big finish. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.